going to do now is something time for tea related. And again, I've been so busy that I've barely had time to even think about what we're going to do. But I did want to use one of the sets that is currently on sale at Create and Craft. Now, these sets are going to be available on our website from Monday. So I will just give you a quick sneaky peeky peek. Well, it's not a sneaky peek, you'll have seen them all if you've seen Create and Craft shows, but you may not be aware of them if you didn't see the shows. So there's this one first, which is the Your Elephantastic, and I think that's the one that I'm going to use today. I think I've pretty much decided that's what I'm going to do, but I might change my mind. This is the Warm Winter Wishes set with the penguins. There's the Thanks a Whole Bunch with the big florals, and then there's Always Time for Tea. There are also some die sets as part of the release, which I shall show you. Oh, I just need my elephants. And they are... So there's this one here, which is the Hello Nesting Rectangles dies. So, and I know we've all probably got a lot of nesting dies, and rectangles is obviously the most popular shape. These fit perfectly with inside a 5x7 card, but also work really well with an A6 size card. And they're stitched on the inside and the outside. Apart from the largest of the dies, they all have the stitched detail on the inside and outside. So that means then that when you cut out your rectangle, you'll be left with a stitched outline in the waist, or what would effectively be the waist. So that means then you can cut a decorative aperture out of your card as well, and you can also make some really cool shaker cards with those. The two centerpieces are ideal for sentiments, and they fit really well with the size of font that we use in all of our stamp sets. And then we've also got this large hello sentiment, and this die here is the perfect size if you want to create a strip for that particular element as well. So we're going to be using that today, I think. And the other die set that will go on sale as well this week is really exciting and is so cool. It's sold out on Create and Craft, so I have a few of these sets available. Sorry if I keep poking into shot. This is the Box Clever card set. So this creates a shadow box. So it's got all of the elements that you need to create the box element, to create some strips for your images to sit on within your box, and then there's also some decorative pieces as well. This piece here cuts out your window, and this here then will give you some decorative elements to the sides of your box as well. You could also use this one or this one for a message or a greeting on the back of your shadow box. But you can also use these if you wanted to create an aperture just in a regular card. So these elements, these extra elements, are great for a number of different uses. You could also use the slope here to create a slope within just a regular card. You don't have to use that as part of the Box Clever card. So there are lots of pieces here that are really, really versatile, and I think once I demonstrated this on the show, it flew. So I think yeah, I think you'll enjoy that one if you've not had that one already. So so that's that. I don't think we'll use that today though. I am going to do a demonstration with this in the next few days, so in time for the launch on our website. I'll get a video uploaded of how you put this together so that you can see how easy it is. Once you've cut all your elements out using the dies, which makes it so much easier, it's very simple to construct. So I had an idea of doing a couple of ink blended backgrounds for my image to sit And I've got some super smooth cardstock here that's been pre-cut, so I think we'll use some of this, and that'll just make my life that little bit easier, I feel. Now if we can get this out. Yeah, use a couple of pieces of those. And I made a little purchase while I was at my workshop earlier, to get some of these peacock feathers that I was searching for last week. Katrina suggested it and I realised that I didn't have any of this in my stash. So I was thinking I might use it, although it may be a little bit bright for what I was going to do, but it's such a good colour, isn't it? Yeah, I do think that's quite nice. So, so I could do a background, a nice bright background with that. I think that would be quite nice, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do in the foreground afterwards. So I think I will use this scrap piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut out using one of my dies here, and I think, let's have a look, do we use the largest one or the, see, I've already used these a few times, they're all stuck together. This is my card blank, so don't, I think this size, the largest size might be a little bit large. Is that, I quite like that though. Yeah, I think we'll go with that one. And then that one in the centre. Or shall we go with this size? No, we'll go with the biggest one. I like this one. I like the size of this one. Okay. So, yeah, mad busy week again this week, as always. And I can't believe that it's Wednesday evening already. I don't know what you guys have been up to. Just checking to see if there's any more comments. I really do need to figure that out, don't I? I need a Facebook wizard to help me. So yeah, so this week's tasks have been getting used to my new working environment. So getting used to sharing my workspace with my other half. Excuse me while I just put this through the snap machine. And try not to get distracted by domestic issues, which I think is probably just one of those things when you're working from home, that does become an issue. So yeah, and being distracted by the cats and just various other things, and trying to keep on track with all of the different tasks that I've got. What I was doing before was fitting that around working in the tea shop, and that was pretty hard to do, but it meant that my activity was very focused, so I knew what I had to do because I only had a very short amount of time to do it. And now it feels like I have to have that same level of focus, but it's over an extended period of time, so it's definitely taking some getting used to, but it's been really exciting to be able to spend a little bit more time considering what I'm doing. rather than having to rush it so much. So I'm just cutting out my my rectangle shapes. I'm going to use as my matte and layer pieces. So you can see the stitch detail on the outside, so you could, if you wanted, use that as a bit of a window or a shaker piece. So the perfect size for that. So I will hang on to that because I might use that in a different card at a later date. So I've got my 2 pieces there, so that's a good start. So the other great piece of news, and my design team, who I know are listening, you'll be pleased to know that the next release of products has arrived. I'm just waiting for the dies, but all the stamps and stencils have arrived, and I can't wait to show them you this. So I'm so happy with them, I really am. It feels like I've been working on them for months. And it has been, you know, a few months in the making. So when they finally arrive, it's so exciting. It's so cool when the boxes come and you get to look at them in person for the first time. And there's always that little bit of nervousness that, oh, will they look as good as I expected, you know, as I anticipated? And these really do. I do love them. So I'm just going to clear a little bit of space for myself here, as I'm going to do a bit of inking. And I'm pausing for a moment to just think which way around I want to do this, because I had an idea of using the Wonderful Waves stencil and using some of these bubbles as my background. So I think I want my darker piece on the very back. So I'm going to start with that piece first. And I'm going to move my mat, and underneath here I've got this plastic mat. I don't know if you can see. And this is just, I think it's a placemat or a table mat from IKEA. So it does create a little bit of a shine on the camera there, but this is a great surface for ink blending on. So yes, I'm going to try out my new peacock feathers, and I'm going to use a blending brush. So just take, this is a new one. Just make sure that I am centralised. Exciting, hi! It is really exciting. I can't wait to show them to you guys. I can't. Oh, I've lost connection. Why is it doing that to me? There we go. Sorry, I'm back again. It's I wish I knew how to view your comments while it's playing. I managed to get it working last time we did it. I know with your advice I managed to get it working, but not this time. Okay, so let's just get some crafting done, shall we? Oh, look at this, look at that colour, that is so gorgeous. So I'm not going to go right the way into the middle because you're not going to see the middle, so I'm not going to, I don't think I'm going to waste my time doing that, but I'm just going to go all around the outside. And I'm holding my brush. It sits really nicely in the palm of your hand, and then I'm holding the head of the brush with my thumb and my first finger, just so that I can get a nice grip on it while I blend. But they're so much easier, and I'm so excited about these. So these will be released very soon as well. So I know there's you guys are really keen to get these in your stash, so they will be out soon. So I just wipe that up with a baby wipe, and let's go back to this. So now I feel like I want a little bit of shimmer on this. So I'm thinking, do I go with some white paint or maybe just some water spray? Because now obviously I've got the dilemma of trying to find out what I've done with all my paints. But I do think I did keep some out and about to try. So let's give these a little whirl. So I need a little dish. So this is another experiment. So we do love an experiment. So I've got this, this is some water-based ink, and it's actually for screen printing, but I've not used it for that, and I don't know whether it will actually work because it looks almost like glue. But for some paint splatters, I thought it might work, because obviously I'm not going to use it for its real purpose. So it's very gluey. It feels almost like glue. Yeah, my hands, that feels very sticky. But with a bit of water it down. What's the worst that can happen, eh? Let's try it. So I've got a bit of water. I'll just pop that in there. And a bit of, yeah, it doesn't really water down, does it? Has anybody used this kind of paint before? Any experience out there of using it? Let's water down a little bit. Sorry, my head's right in the shot there. You don't want to see that, do you? See all my greys. So, let's get a little block, and let's try flicking that. That doesn't seem, that's not too bad, but I feel like it needs a bit of a stronger, it's more watery than white. So if we just put a bit more of the white. That was me being a little bit nervous that it wouldn't work, and obviously we've yet to see how it dries, but I quite like that. So quite happy with that. Pop that to one side. Yeah, so it's quite a watery solution that I've used. Like I say, it's quite thick and almost glue-like in texture. So I don't know how it will dry, but let's give it a minute to dry by itself while we do everything else. And if not, then we can always use our heat gun to dry off any excess. And what I might do is I might just lift those bits that are in the middle, because we're not going to see those anyway. Okay, so we'll pop that to one side and just see what happens. And then for my centerpiece, well, we've got our Distress inks out. I'll just give this a bit of a clean. This is quite an intense colour, isn't it, the peacock feathers? So right, so I need a pink, one of my pink brushes, and I'm going to go in with the sponge sugar to start with, just to create a light background. So yeah, so some exciting products coming up. Some with a bit of a Christmas theme, some more of a kind of wintry or autumnal theme. Because I think I've not even started crafting for Christmas yet. I don't know about anybody else. Some people are so on it and I'm just really not. So yeah, so I've got a bit of a pink on the, I think that looks I quite like that. So my idea, and again this is all just a bit of a test, and if we don't like it, it doesn't matter. We can we don't have to keep it, do we? So at the end of the day, it's a bit of paper and ink. Sometimes I think you can be afraid to experiment a little bit because you're worried that it won't come out perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect to look really cool. So and sometimes, you know, just doing a bit of experimenting is what it's all about. So I really like how these little dots look, so I'm just going to try and position. And I'm not going all the way through, I'm not applying tons of pressure, and I'm not hitting all of the dots. I just want a little random pattern. Oh yeah, that looks really cute. And I'm wondering whether to turn it around, maybe try a different direction, see what that looks like. Oh, will it look better if I carry on in the direction? Oh yeah, that might work. Let's try that. Hope you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm trying not to lean forward too much because I've not got a great view on my laptop. Sorry, on my iPad at the moment. Okay. So yeah, that was the look that I was going for, definitely. And then I think I'll just use a little bit of the worn lipstick just around the outside, just to brighten up those edges a little bit. So yeah, I really like that. And I don't know whether it needs the teal background actually, but the peacock feathers, but I just wanted to use that so much because it's new and I wanted to use it. So we'll go with it, because I think that would be really nice actually just on a plain white background. I do think that would look really, really clean and simple. So when it comes to it, we might not use that. We'll see. Let's have a look. I mean, that, I'll absolutely adore that. But then it might be a bit much. But it does look very, very pretty. So we'll come back to it. I'm very indecisive today. Very indecisive. But I'm liking the two backgrounds that I've created. Whether they go together, I'm not sure. So let's just clean up our area a little bit. And I think we've pretty much done what we need to do there. So we'll bring back our other mat and we'll do a little bit of colouring. And just double check that nothing's shifted around in terms of what you can see. Everything okay? Hi, Hannah. Oh, thank you, Katrin. So you like them together? You think they work together? Yeah, they do look good, don't they? So now it's just thinking about how that works with what I'm going to stamp. So I'm going to stamp my my little elephants. So I need my stamping platform. So again, I have moved things around and didn't think that maybe are they accessible enough. So my stamping platform's quite large, so let's pop that in there. So one of the things that at the workshop that I went to earlier was evident that not a lot of people on the workshop did a lot of colouring, and there was a lot of a lack of confidence, I think, in that process. And colouring is something that I've always enjoyed doing. And it did surprise me, actually, what am I doing? That people weren't as confident. So I think I am going to also, so yeah, so it got me to thinking, you know, there are a lot of people who aren't so confident with colouring, and maybe some colouring tutorials would be really helpful to people, possibly. So now, what did you do with your ink, Jo? What did you do with your ink? Some Memento and some VersaFine. So I'm going to use my Memento ink for my elephant, because I'm going to colour him with my Copic markers. But then I'm going to use my VersaFine to do my sentiments, because I find that that produces a much more vibrant colour. So let's get these stamped. Hopefully this is all in shot for you guys. And just a little bit on my elephant, it's not quite stamped. You can see the ink is still on there, so I've not pressed down hard enough. So we'll just try that bit again. Just in his ear there. And this is why I just love the platforms, because without these you couldn't just keep repositioning it, and you know, if you don't apply enough pressure in the right place first time, that is what will happen. So it's impossible to then go back in there without the platform. Then you know you're getting it in exactly the right place. So I'm just cleaning off my stamp with my baby wipe, but I am going to hang on to these and give them a proper clean afterwards. One of the things that I've discovered, depending on which baby wipes you might purchase, they're great for speed, so that you can, you know, you're not interrupted. You can keep going with your crafty process without having to keep going and clean off your stamps. But sometimes the fibres do come off, and I've had that experience with a particular brand of baby wipe that I used, a cheaper brand, and when I tried to stamp again with the same image, all the fibres came off onto the card, so they left little strands, and it looked like an imperfect stamp, but actually it was because of this this issue with the particular brand of baby wipes. So that is something to just be mindful of, I think. So I'm going to colour in my my little elephant, and this should be quite an easy image to colour. So when we're talking about people who perhaps don't feel very confident colouring, an image like this is a really good one to start with, because you only really need a series of greys and you're away. So the rule of thumb that I follow is I tend to use odd numbers and usually 3 colours to blend. So here I've got a C3, C5 and a C7. So I've taken the odd numbers in that series, and I'm going to start with my lightest shade, because that's always how I've done it. It's how I find it easier, and I do prefer just saturating my paper with the alcohol first before I start applying any shading. I think I probably said in previous videos that oftentimes I don't decide where I want my shading until I've started the colouring process. Shading your image is something that, while there are some basic rules that you can follow, I do think it's tricky. It's tricky for everyone, and it's difficult to know, you know, what's going to look natural and what's going to prevent your image from looking flat. And I think that's the main goal of shading. If you don't overcomplicate it too much by trying to think, oh well, if the light was shining from here, then I would get a highlight there. If you just follow the rule of I want to make this look like it's a 3D shape and not just a flat image, then that might make things a little bit easier. So for example, the elephant's head is going to be curved, and there's going to be shadow behind anything that's further forward in the picture. So for example, there's going to be shade behind his trunk there. The bottom of his trunk is probably going to be in shade, and there's going to be shade underneath his head and underneath the trunk there. And then anything underneath will generally be in shade. His belly is probably going to cast a bit of shade onto his legs. And his legs are going to be curved. So if we can try and create an illusion of shape on his legs by adding some shading around the outsides so that the highlight is in the middle, that also works. So the same goes for his head. There's probably, we want to make it look like he's got a round head. So again, the shade's going to come in from the outside and create a highlight in the middle, and then we just create a little bit of a shape around his belly there as well. So once I've put my mid-tone in, before my paper's fully dry, I'll go back in with the palest shade and smooth out those edges, so that they're fully blended in before I go back in then with a darker shade to really deepen any of those shadows. So that is the basic principle that I will use when I'm colouring. You can spend hours doing it and really study where the shadow would be, but a lot of the time the fun is in the creating of the card. You don't want to spend forever building up your colouring, particularly with a small image like this. It's, you know, it takes some of the fun out of it if you try and overcomplicate it. like I say, as long as it looks like it's not a flat image, I think you've accomplished what you needed to do. So wherever there are any harsh lines, I will just soften those out again with the mid-tone, because what we're trying to do is create an even blend, so that it looks natural as possible, and that they're fully smoothed out. The only place where I might have a bit of definition is around the face there. So again, just go back in with the palest shade and blend some of those bits out. There we go. The danger is obviously if you're using a lot of your light to blend, that you might oversaturate your paper and bleed outside the lines. So when I'm recolouring, I tend not to go too close to the very outside edge, and then I'm just using my C7, which is the darkest shade, to deepen some of those shadows where I feel it's needed, but it probably doesn't need any more than what we've already done. It's like I say, it's a small image, you don't need to do an awful lot to it to make him look like he's round. And then just blend that bit out. There you go. So that is, you know, super quick and without really taking any time to think about what we're doing, but hopefully you get the idea. And then maybe what we'll do in a future one is just concentrate on the colouring, if that's what people might be interested in, if that's an area that people want to know more about, then we could definitely do that. So for the little toes, I think I will just use the very lightest grey to give them a bit of colour. So it's all a similar sort of tone. And then for his, for a little bit of highlight, we'll just add the white Jelly Roll pen to his eyes, and then maybe just a little bit of highlight, maybe to a few bits maybe on his trunk and his ears. So yeah, that's I don't know quite how that looks on screen and whether you could really see that. Oh, I'm just trying to have a look at some of your comments, but I can't really see them from up here. So yeah, so that's the little elephant. Thank you, Hannah. So right, let's see what we're doing next. I need to cut him out. I think we'll do that next. So these do come with the matching dies. So let's get our little elephant and move those out of my way. Trying to tidy as I go. And I'll use a little bit of this tape and try not to get my head in the shot. I think I've lined that up okay. Trying to not put my big head in the way. So this is the thumb bit where we take him out, and that's created a lovely little, oh, he looks very cute. So now my thoughts are, do I need to do my sentiments in white, because then that will fit with the background, won't it? Or do I layer them perhaps on here, or should I stamp it directly on my background? Oh yeah, that's a possibility, isn't it? Decisions, people. What do we do? What should we do? I quite like... does he look a little bit lonely there? Does he need something a bit bigger sentiment maybe to fill my space a little bit more? We could have... So in this set we get some really cute sentiments. So we've got "You are an elephantastic friend." I think that might. And I think I'm going to do those on the white cardstock and cut those out. So back to my stamping platform. So this is where I knock everything over and lose everything. So I turn this around. So let's try and line these up. So I've got "You are" and "Anne," and I want these to be... Do I want these to be on the same line, or do I want them on separate lines? I might have them on separate lines, because then that'll mean that they fill up the space a little bit, but also it means I don't have to try and line them up. Excuse my head in the shot again. Sticking to my fingers. Stop it. Anybody else have issues with nails, or is it can't just be me? They're just create all kinds of problems when you're stamping. Okay. All right. So I think we've figured that out. Get them on there. Make sure that's positioned, and let's give this a try. So I've used VersaFine again, because I just think that does give for a better, clearer, brighter stamp for your sentiments, and applied plenty of pressure there. You can see that I've got a little bit of an issue there, and that is like I say, I think it's the baby wipes that I've used previously, and it's just left some fibres. So I think it's barely noticeable, but I know it's there, and that's the, you know, that's why I'm, you know, after this I will give these a good clean, just with some warm water in the sink, but just make sure that I've got all those fibres up and they're not going to damage my stamps, because you know, your stamps will last you an awful long time. The stamps that I have produced, different to perhaps other stamp companies out there that you might be used to, these are photopolymer. I know a lot of the American companies, they all, you know, they're photopolymer rather than the acrylic stamps that a lot of British companies might use that are imported from China. Excuse me, just blow my nose there. And I find that the photopolymer ones are, I just prefer them. There are benefits, I imagine, to both, but I find that these last much longer. I've had acrylic ones before that have ripped, that have discoloured and lost their stickiness despite being kept clean and in the right conditions. These guys, you can see, just you'll see when you pull them out, they're so much stronger than the acrylic ones. They're much thicker, deep. They've got a deep edge to them, and they don't squish when you stamp them, which you sometimes get with the acrylic ones. So they are an excellent quality, and I do love that about the photopolymer. They are more expensive to produce, but I think it's worth it, and I don't want to give you guys anything that I wouldn't be happy to use myself. That's really important to me, and is something that, you know, it's something that I will always endeavour to do, is to bring the best quality of product at the best price that I can, because I want to be able to use it, and I want to be proud of using it. And if something's not the quality that I would want to use, then I'm not going to pass it on to you guys as something that it's not. So so there you go, that's that little bit of a rant over. So I'm just using one of the strip dies from the Hello set. It is obviously bigger than my sentiment, but we'll be able to trim that down really easily, and this means that it's much easier for you to get a nice straight line. So for some of the smaller ones, I may just snip those out or use my my little mini trimmer, because there's less chance that you'll get it wrong. But for a longer sentiment, I'm terrible for wonky cutting. It's just yeah, it's just not something that I'm good at. I'm not good at straight lines, and that's why I like to position my sentiments a little bit on the wonk, because it's so much easier. So you see that that's cut that out so much easier. And I may just do the same with each of these, actually, because again, it's so much easier than me trying to do it myself with a trimmer or whatever, and just not lining it up properly, and then you end up trimming another little bit off, and then another bit, and before you know it, you've ended up having to throw your piece away, and it's taken you 20 minutes of just shaving bits off. So at this point, you've spent a lot of time on it, so you want it to look professional. And while it is just bits of paper and ink, you also, you know, you've got a life. You don't want to be spending hours recutting and inking things. So I hope you guys are all right out there, because I can't see anything that's going on or what you're saying. So I hope that that you're enjoying this, and that this is okay for you. So now we're just going to do the friend piece again, and I think, although you don't need to do these steps, this is what's so handy about the sentiment strips, is now they will all be uniform in size as well. So again, that just makes it look that little bit more professional, which is what we're you know, all hoping that we'll achieve by the end of it, is that we'll have a professional looking card. So for these, we'll just snip the edges off while that last one's cutting. Oops, where's that going? So see, I'm terrible even getting this bit right. I'm so nervous that I'm just gonna cut it wonky, that sometimes I've even used the edge, the strip die to cut the other end, just so that I know I've done it right. So I'm just going to snip that off. I've done that, made that bit too big. Go away. And final piece is here. Thank you, those of you that are still bearing with me and watching. You are awesome. It's finally coming together, I think, and it's I'll pop those there. So what else have I got to tell you? So apart from the fact that we've got new products coming and another show on Create and Craft hopefully next month, we are also going to be in Peterborough this month at the Crafting Live show, and the dates have escaped my brain. I think, is it the 18th and 19th? It's a Friday and Saturday event. And so we're going to have a stand there. There'll be some demonstrations throughout the day. The new brushes will be on sale there. That will be the first time that we'll be bringing those to you. So that's really exciting. And obviously we'll have all of these stamps that we're showing you today. So yeah, I quite like that. I might edge the blah, blah. You know what I'm trying to say, don't you? I've lost the ability to speak. So I need my peacock feathers. I might just edge those sentiments with my peacock feathers. Oh no, I've done a smudge. Don't worry, we'll cover it up. I don't even know how I managed to do that. This is so I've been to the to that workshop earlier today, and my fingers were bright yellow. Just I cannot help but get covered in ink. So I don't think I want to do it like that, because I think that's going to make it a little bit too dark. So I'm just going to use my brush. Let's try this. I think that do that. So yeah, so we're going to be at Crafting Live in Peterborough. So anybody who's in that neck of the woods, it's a bit of a trek for us. We've not done this show before. So yeah, really looking forward to meeting you guys. We love doing the Doncaster event. We got to meet a lot of craft, you know, new customers and friends, and just, you know, people who are interested in what we do, and that's, you know, we got to get a lot of feedback on what we were doing and things that people would like to see. So it really inspired us to think of some new products and new you know, new items that we can bring to you. And we are working on some of those suggestions. So yeah, it'd be great to see you guys at that event. And then after that, we're going to be in Harrogate, and that's in November. Excuse me, that's early November. So yeah, so that's going to be exciting too. So that if we would go back to this panel, that paint has dried, but not in the bright white splatters that I wanted. So I think that's a medium that I probably won't use for splatters. I will probably, as Katrina had mentioned, doing the acrylic. I think that's probably what I will do in future. But I was intrigued to see whether it would work. Now we know. If you don't try these things, you never know, do you? So I'm going to start assembling this now. And this bit of this Cosmic Shimmer glue, and put my panels together. This is my all-time favourite glue. It's just, it dries clear, it sticks pretty much everything, and yeah, I honestly can't fault it. I'm looking for something clean that's not my hands, because they're not clean. So just use this bit of tissue just so that I can press that down without putting my inky paws all over it, because they're already made a mess. And then I think we'll pop this on the front of my card. So yeah, so we've got an exciting couple of shows coming up, and like I said, I am now thinking about starting some workshops in the local area. So I know a lot of you don't live locally to me, that are watching at this moment in time, but if anybody's watching the recording and you live in the Chapeltown, Barnsley, Ecclesfield, Hillsborough area of Sheffield, then do look out for me posting an event in the next, hopefully in the next sort of 5 to 6 weeks. I'm hoping I will definitely have something set up within that time, and also if you're in the Chapeltown area of Sheffield, there is a Facebook page, Chapeltown Forum, which gives you lots of updates on news in the local area. We're as a business a part of the forum, so and it's a great community-led group that does an awful lot for this area, so it's definitely worthwhile being part of that. So we've been to a meeting there tonight, which is why it's all been full on, straight from one thing to the next. But yeah, that's so we'll definitely be posting on there when there's an event coming, because I think you know, there'll be a lot of people locally that might be interested. So I'm just lining up where I want my sentiments to live, and I'm thinking if we do them, like I say, a little bit on the wonk, then it doesn't matter, does it? Because it's meant to be that way. How's that? So if we do the UR, the An will probably be straight, I think. I feel like I've stuck my thing on the wonk anyway, but hey ho. Yeah, that seems to work, doesn't it? So let's put my elephant in the middle first, and then we know he's in the right place, don't we? So I'll just use a couple of foam pads to get him in the middle. And if you're still with me, then yay. Thanks for sticking with me. I am going to persevere with these. I know we're a small band of supporters at the moment. Oops, throwing my scissors around. But you, if you miss the live event, which is going to be every Wednesday, you know, bar any kind of emergencies or anything that life might get in the way. If you can't take, you know, if you can't be here when we're live, that's absolutely fine. I will add the recorded version of this to the YouTube channel. It'll also be available on the Time for Tea Designs page afterwards as well, for you to be able to view after the event. So there is still an opportunity for you to do that. And the reason why I'm doing these live rather than pre-recording and editing, because I know these are obviously quite long videos, and it's a commitment in time for you guys to watch, but it's for me, based on the amount of time that I get to craft and the amount of time that I get to edit a video, actually it's fitting all of that in is very difficult. So this actually means that I have to craft. It's so easy when you're in the middle of doing designing or dealing with manufacturers or whatever else jobs there might be to do on a day-to-day basis, to actually you forget to do what you love to do, which is the crafting bit. So this means that I am getting that opportunity to craft, at the moment I can't interact with you while I'm doing it, which is very frustrating, but I will figure that out, I promise. But the idea is then that I can interact with you guys, I can find out what you're up to as well, a little bit like when we're at the shows where we'd be doing demonstrations, but people can, you know, ask questions and maybe suggest the next part of the demonstration, just so that I can, you know, I can do something that works for you. So at the moment I am just going for it a bit blindly, because technologically wise I'm clearly not up to speed yet, but it is giving me the opportunity to do some crafting, show you some of the products that we've got, and tell you what's going on with the business and what's coming up and what else there is to look forward to, as well as, you know, just show you a little bit of maybe something different to do, an idea of something that you might not have thought of using our products for. So for example, the wonderful Waves stencil that I've used today is a really versatile stencil that actually I don't think I've given a lot of focus to previously. So we used it in one of the demonstrations last week, but these bubbles that are meant to be bubbles in the sea can also be used for a background such as this. It's just a really simple, pretty background, doesn't have to be used along with the mermaid sets that it was originally designed for. So yeah, so hopefully I can show you something a little bit different. So that, I think, I'm really happy with that. What I might do, because we've got a bit of a theme going on with the bubbles in the background, and I've made a little bit of a splodge, is I might be tempted to use a few Nuvo drops to cover those up. Now, I am always really frightened about adding too much in the background and it's spoiling the clean and simple look. I do have a tendency to either go overboard and do too much, or maybe not do enough. And I see a lot of other people that are really good at adding different like finishing touches, and it's something that sometimes I do struggle with. So we'll have a little go. So you see, this is my blob, and it might actually make that blob brighter. So there is a you know, thought that maybe that's not a good idea, but in for a penny, in for a pound. Makes it like it's an embellishment then. So I'm just adding a small blob and then just twisting and then pulling up, so that hopefully what we'll get as a result is a nice circular blob that's almost like an enamel dot. So, and I'm just going to add a few of these randomly. The rule of thumb is to do 3s or an odd number in the sections that you're applying. So that's what we're going to aim for. And I'm going to do varying sizes, so some small and some a little bit larger. And make a bigger blob and then twist and lift. So I have to look at it from this angle to see where I want to be. I think we'll do a little one just here. So blob, twist and lift, and then I feel like there's a little space for one. Maybe am I going to go to, I think maybe there, we'll go just there, because I don't want to cover it with too many. This is where we over embellish on there. And then I think to balance these here, we'll add one there and blob, twist and lift. That's gone into a bit of a peak, that one. And let's see, definitely needs another one, but where? Let's go bigger one there, and I'll just do a little one there. So again, keeping to my rule. So they're a little bit peaky, those ones there, but I had been given I'd heard a little tip of to kind of flatten these down is to tap your card quite firmly onto the surface, and that should flatten some of those peaks down a little bit. So just twist that around and do that. Yeah, and that's flattened those down quite a bit. So I think with that, I think we might be done. So I shall just come up here. Just bear with me, I've got a little bit of a message. Yes, I always end, Annalisa, I always end up with a pointy tip, so that's where I just heard that if you tap it quite firmly on your surface, that should flatten them down. So try that. They have, I don't know if you can see, but while they're still got a little bit of a peak, that should dry much flatter now that we've given it a bit of a tap. So that's I think that's I'll call that finished. So I hope that that was okay for you guys. I hope that I didn't waffle on too much for you and bore you all to tears. It's hard sometimes just talking to yourself when I can't see what you guys are saying. Yeah, I find it sometimes I just waffle on, so I hope that wasn't too bad for you. Thank you ever so much for watching, and like I say, if you want to see any of it again, if you can possibly bring yourself to do it, then it will be available on the YouTube channel and on here as well after the event. But thank you for taking the time to be with me, craft with me today, and we shall see you again next week, if not before. Thank you guys, thank you so much. Bye bye now.